Hello. In this presentation, I'm going to discuss the very first movement of the Piano Sonata No. 4 in F sharp major, Opus 30, by Russian composer and pianist Alexander Skravin. This presentation is divided into three main parts. The first is a formal overview of the work. The second one is a detailed analysis, and the third one is a critical commentary. First part, a formal overview. In this diagram, we can notice that the first movement of the sonata is written in ternary form. It has a first section a second section B, and a third section A', followed by a coda with new material. Within the first section, we have a double hybrid number 4 according to Kaplan, and it has a CVI followed by a consequent, in which the very first theme is presented. Then that phrase is repeated once, and it modulates to the third degree of F sharp, which is B flat, enharmonically of course. Then it's followed by a B section in contrast with the A section, and it has the motives W and motives X with transposition, exact repetitions in those. I label those as B1 and B2. Then we have a third section A', which is a recapitulation of the very first one, and the theme is presented again into a different way, but the melodic material is completely the same. Then it's repeated once more, and it follows a coda with complete new material, and I labeled those as C1 and C2. One thing we can notice in this diagram really easily is that cadences are not what we might expect, especially within the context of a first movement in a sonata. Usually the first movement in a sonata is in allegro sonata form, but this is not the case. So Skravin was in his middle period, and this was a transition between his early, more stable composition style towards a more wild and tremendous, dramatic style. So this very first movement works as an introduction to the second one, and that's why the last cadence we encounter it's an HC. So let's listen to this piece first. Now, after the listening, let's take a deeper approach to this piece. So, in the very beginning of the piece, theme number one is presented in the first four measures of the piece. One thing that is remarkable is the harmony, which is highly chromatic and it foreshadows what Wagner will do in the future. The first phrase is, according to Kaplan, again, hybrid number 4, and it's composed by a CVI and then followed by a consequent. So these four measures are the CVI, ascending melodic line with descending chromatic passage on the left hand. Measures 5 through 8 are the consequent, and they have the first sense of cadence point, which is an HC. This is particular because that chord, it seems what Describing will later label as Prometheus chord. Um, Solfege syllables for that chord are Do, Fi, Te, Mi, La, and Re, which are, in this context, C sharp, F double sharp, B, E sharp, A sharp, and D sharp. And out of 6 notes, the only one that is missing is the A sharp. But at this moment, Scravin doesn't use the Prometheus chord yet. This is his middle period, and he's getting there, but not now. So then we have our first important motive, which is W, that figure on the right hand with the quintuplet. Then we have the repetition of the previous theme, almost literal repetition. And we have motive W again, and finally we have an AC, and this will be probably the strongest cadence arrival point within this movement. That flat 7 works as a predominant chord for that 5-7 sharp 4, which is dominant for B flat. Then we have this exchange of motives W and X over and over. So we're reaching the B section, and these two motives are important because a lot of material is going to be derived in the future from them, and also because Scravin literally transposed those exactly as they are. Then in measure 22, we have transposition 2 or T2, and we avoid a cadence, which is expected that this is the end of the consequent phrase. Then we have this cadential section or cadential development. It is composed by a repeated basic idea with the motive W on T11, and it is a game among fragmentation and the presentation of a motive, and then fragmentation and the presentation of a motive. We have an HC over there, that's C sharp, and finally we have our A prime section. Theme number 1 is back, and the melodic material is the same. The notes on the upper side are derived from theme number 2, which is hidden melody on the top of the left hand. I didn't discuss this previously because it is not as relevant as other things that I want to discuss too. So we have an HC on the end of the first phrase. A second one on the second phrase. And then we have this sort of on conclusion. This is not a cadential point. This is just pure atmosphere. Then we reach the coda towards bar number 51. And this is completely immaterial. That's why I labeled as motive Y. Then it's a back and forth play with motive Y, motive C, motive Y again, transposed motive C. It rejects a cadence over there, and then we have cadential development. And this is the last part of the piece, ending with an HC. And as I previously said, is preparation towards the second movement. It has the word ataca, which means that the performer must play without any interruption, and that's why it ends with a dominant harmony. So now we reach the last part of the presentation, which is the critical commentary. So in this section, I'm going to talk about performance recommendations and recording comparisons. So my first comment regarding this piece will be every time a new motive appears, take the proper time and articulation to present them. I'm saying this because I've noticed that some performers may abuse of the use of rubato, especially because rubato must be something that is proportional, flexible, and elegant, and it is not an easy thing to develop. It requires a really good sense of proportion and balance. Also, well, playing an episode scribing is not an easy job, especially his left hand is usually a real challenge to any kind of pianist. My second comment is regarding dynamics. So especially in this first moment of the sonata, dynamics are really delicate and it's really easy to overlap one line with another or not to have a very clean sound. So balance must be a high priority on the success of this piece. On the recapitulation of this piece in the third section, an A prime, the left hand has repeated chords, which I find really hard because it's really easy to bring those too much. And also the left hand has the arpeggios and the melodic material from the first theme. Another comment is remember that this first movement it is not a sonata-like reform. It works as an introduction. So as the second movement is a prestissimo volando movement, really energetic, really fast and furious, take your time to present the first movement in a really elegant manner. Take the time to bring every element of the music and give a meaning to every motive. So I find very interesting recordings of this piece. My four favorite ones are from Mikhail Pletnev, Ivo Pogorelic, Vladimir Safronitsky, and Grigory Sokolov. So in this table, it's a rough comparison between recordings, but I chose these recordings because they are really distinctive from each other. So the motive W and X are highly important in this piece, but for instance, Pogorelic, he he experiments with this piece in a so deep level. A good musical example that I want to show you is a comparison between those chords in the right hand between Mikhail Plednev and Grigory Sokolov. So Grigory Sokolov's recording is this one. So in this passage, everything is pretty clear. Melodic lines are in the front, but in comparison to Plednev, those chords are just too rough. This is Plednev's recording. So, as we can notice, Plednev's it's completely different. It's more delicate. One thing that I really like about this sonata is that it's really mystic. It's completely out of the tradition and it only has two movements. The first one being the Andante and the second one Prestissimo Volando. The harmony that Scriabin explores in this work is just incredible. Contrary movement, chromatic lines. This reminds me of really late romantic pieces, but not from this era. Finally, the thing that I find most striking in this piece is the mysticism that involves and emerges from this piece. It's incredible how a constant flow of music drives your mind towards paths that you didn't even know that they were within you or even somewhere else. It's highly mystical, heathen, and well, thank you for listening to this presentation.